Happy Wednesday, everyone. It's time for Down to the Wire on the Vegas Insider Network, presented by BetMGM. I'm your host today, Joe Madden, and I'm excited for today's show. I've got two killer guests coming up. We've got George Kurtz of Sports Grid in first, and Nick Parsons of Vegas Insider. It's going to be a great show. We're going to be talking NFL. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball for tonight. So don't go anywhere. You guys want to stay tuned for this. We've had a couple crazy weeks in the NFL to get under our belt, some college football. We're going into week 4 and week 5. We will be discussing this Thursday night game, and I do have some props for you guys at the end of the show. So again, don't leave. First, we're going to talk about one of my best bets of the night. We got the New York Yankees taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, this total has dropped. It was 7.5 earlier. It's down to 7. I'm not buying the under. We got such strong trends to that under, but I can't get there. We have Mitch White coming out for the Toronto Blue Jays. This game is a game Toronto needs to win. We know that the New York Yankees clinched the division yesterday. Now, Toronto needs to hang on to this wild card spot. They've been so unpredictable this season. They've just been shooting themselves in the foot. But one thing this Toronto Blue Jays team can do and does do nicely is hits. Now, Garrett Cole has been kind of weak in his last 3 outings. We've seen him ride a 6.04 ERA in those last 3. I'm reading Mitch White's. Mitch White is 6.04 in his last 3. 5.12 in the season. When we have Garrett Cole, he's come in here with a 6.35 ERA. See, this is what I'm trying to get my head wrapped around. In his last 3, Garrett Cole hasn't been as strong as Mitch White, which doesn't make any sense at all. Garrett Cole needs to bounce back. But I think in this one, Toronto, with how hungry they're going to be to get this win tonight, can get these hits on him. He has a 3.49 on the season. So what I'm going to do is, even though all the trends, last 5 games have gone under, I'm going to go to the over 7 in this one. I just think, if anything, the Yankees even are going to come out, hit so well off of Mitch White. Now you can get this over at BetMGM, the over 7 at -115. So we're paying a little bit of juice, but I think it's a great way to go. I also think you guys have to look at Aaron Judge. We know that to get that 61st home run tonight off of Mitch White, I think this definitely comes in. But you guys, before we bring in our first guest, I just want to tell you about the app that we have for Vegas Insider. You're definitely going to want to check this out. We've got up-to-date, easy-to-navigate odds in every major sport. You have the latest shows, best bet videos and podcasts, pictures and news, all for free inside the Vegas Insider app. Nicely and convenient in all in one place, you guys. Download the Vegas Insider app right now on Apple and Android. Bet better with the Vegas Insider app. Okay, it's time to welcome George Kurtz here of Sports Grid. We're going to talk some NFL. How are you doing, George?
I'm doing well, Joe. It's a fun time of the sports year, right? You mentioned the Yankees tonight. Judge, you're going for the 61st home run. Football, it's kind of sad, though. After this weekend, 22% of the NFL season will be done. It goes by quickly here. And we have the NHL season opening up in about 9 days here. So it's my favorite time of year as far as sports is concerned.
George, why'd you have to do that to me? Say we're going to hit 22% over? That was a blow to the heart right there.
It flies by. I mean, the NFL season flies by so quickly. It's only 18 weeks now, right? That's it. It's not baseball, which lasts forever. Hockey, which is really the forever season. That never ends, right? So football goes by very quickly.
Yeah, which goes to my point. Ladies out there, it's only 18 weekends you're losing your man for. Seriously, let him have that Sunday on the couch. George, we've got lots of great games this Sunday. But before that, we have a game on Thursday night we're seeing line movement. The Miami Dolphins taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Wow, what are you thinking here? We know how strong Miami has been, pulling off these wins that no one thought they could do, beating the Bills. Can they come in and beat the Bengals?
Can they? Sure. Do I think they will? No. And let me tell you why I don't think they will. Now, generally, Thursday night games, the home team has a huge advantage, right? The road team doesn't get much chance to practice here. They got to travel for a day. You throw in this hurricane now, and they had to leave earlier to make sure they could avoid the cane here. I don't know how much practice time they're doing there, how much time they can prepare for the Cincinnati Bengals. Plus, Yeah, and we saw the odds reflect in this today. Vegas doesn't think that Tua is playing, or that they're hedging their bets that he's not going to play. All right, that spread went up about 2 points today. And to my mind, that's what they're saying. They're not sure about Tua. He's officially listed as questionable, and we know the Dolphins aren't going to tell us, right? Even if he has an amputated right arm or left arm right now, they're not going to tell us, right? We won't find out until about an hour and a half for a game time when Miami has to announce their inactives. But it's iffy at best. And we saw the same situation play out with the Chargers last week, right? That spread in the beginning of the week was Chargers, minus about 6.5. It went down about minus 3.5 on Friday when they were concerned about Herbert not playing. Now, he did play. All right, so maybe Tua does as well. Maybe they're thinking he's just not going to be at full strength here. Give me the home team on Thursday night. That's always my reflex action anyway. I want the home team on Thursday night, especially now. Mixon looks like he's good to go here. Higgins is good to go. He practiced. Burrow, I think, is getting more into the swing of things now. And I also think head coach Zach Taylor is realizing, hey, I got Jamar Chase, I got T. Higgins, I got Boyd. All right, I might have the best wide receiver trio in the NFL. Got to chuck the ball. Got to protect Burrow and chuck the ball. That's how we're going to win these games. Yeah,
that's absolutely what they have to do here. I need that offensive line to give Joe Burrows more protection, though, and I'm really hoping they get this in this game today. But we know Miami, they're scrappy. They're going to come in playing hard, but you're right. I think the line is reflecting that we won't see Tua out there. If we see Tua come out and look like Justin Herbert, we saw what the Jags did to run down Justin Herbert. So I'm hoping you're right in this one because I like the Bengals as well.
Yeah, like I said, listen, this is not against the Miami football team. I think if this was a Sunday game, I think it'd be a knockdown, drag-out fight, a really good game. I'm really liking the Bengals because of the short week here and everything that's going on down there in Florida with Hurricane Ian. So I said I had the Dolphins beating the Bills last week, not because I thought the Dolphins were great or the Bills were poor, but because the Bills' secondary was wiped out, right? They had 2 sixth-round picks playing cornerback, and they had no safeties. Their starting secondary was out. So this is not really a knock against the Dolphins here. It's the short week. Thursday night games are not fair in the NFL. It doesn't matter. We don't care. We're bettors. And I want to take advantage of this. And I just don't think the Dolphins will be as prepared for this game. Plus, won't there be a little bit of a letdown factor? You beat the Bills, division rival. You're 3-0, beat the Bills. It's a little bit of a letdown going to Cincinnati 3 days later.
Yeah, most definitely. I still am shaking my head that they beat the Bills. I didn't see that one coming with how deep the Bills were. I thought they would still roll over Miami. But let's look at the next game. This one is on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We have the Chicago Bears taking on the New York Giants. Now, we've got a low total in this one. Both these teams, 2-1 on the season. What are you liking here, George?
Yeah, this is one of those games. Now, I live in New York, and, if you're I'm 53. If you're older like me, you remember those games in the 80s where maybe a 1 o'clock game would be like the Jets and the Colts, 2 poor teams at the time. The 4 o'clock game would be the Giants and Cardinals, 2 more poor teams, and you wanted to hang yourself because you had nothing online. We couldn't check out the scores. We didn't have anything. We didn't have the Sunday ticket. We had nothing. And these games are so boring, which is what I expect on Sunday. Just a boring football game. The Bears are not allowing Fields to throw the football. All right, they're not. And he's not running as much as he should be either. They lost Montgomery as well. All right, I don't expect him to play Sunday. Khalil Herbert, a good running back, but he's not. We're not talking about Barry Sanders here, Emmitt Smith. So I think a really boring football game from Chicago to try and win this game in the fourth quarter. Both teams trying not to make mistakes. With the Giants, we saw that, right? Their only offense is Daniel Jones' legs because he can't throw the ball to save his life, and Saquon Barkley, who up to this point has probably been the best running back in the NFL. Who saw that coming? All right, so I like the Giants in this game. I think, once again, they are the better team, but my favorite play is going to be the under. I just don't see how points are going to be. How are they going to score points here unless they're turning the ball over? So give me the Giants and the under.
Yeah, I love the way you're going with this. Saquon Barkley has been phenomenal out there. He was open for some passes, utilizing more of a wide receiver kind of role in the last game as well. Just a star for the New York Giants here. But I'm with you. This is going to be a hard smash run game by both of these teams. Defense is stepping up. Under 39.5 looks beautiful. Let's move on to this one's on Sunday at 1 o'clock as well. The Seattle Seahawks taking on the Detroit Lions. Lions coming in here as a favorite at home, a little bit higher of total, just under that 50 mark. The Lions 1-2 on the season, 1-2 for the Seahawks. The Seahawks, people thought after that first game out, we're going to blow people out of the water with Geno Smith. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the Seahawks may have played their Super Bowl week 1. All right, I think that might have been their Super Bowl going up against Russell Wilson, and they played lights out, played great. Although we've seen so in the game since that maybe it wasn't so much Seattle as it was Denver. All right, they've got some issues there in Denver. So I listen. I think this game's gonna be sort of the opposite of Chicago Giants, right? A big defensive game there where these teams can't score points. In this game, I don't know if either team can stop the other team from scoring points. All right, I will be watching the status of Amon St. Brown. He's questionable. I think he does play, but he was quiet in that second half versus Minnesota due to the injury here. So you do want to check that out. They will be without DeAndre Swift, the Lions. He may be out a couple of weeks here, but I don't expect him to play. Certainly not this week here. But Williams has been fine as the backup there. Reynolds will back up Williams this week, but Goff has looked good. He's looked good here. They actually have a good passing game there, so I don't think either team can stop the other. I'm going to be a prop crazy in this game. As far as Amon St. Brown going over his prop total, DK Metcalf going over his prop total, and I'm going to like the. I haven't checked out what it is yet. I don't think it's there yet. But whatever the longest pass prop total is usually around 37.5 yards. I'm going to like that as well. I think Lockett's going to get loose for a big one. I think points are coming here. I don't think either team can stop the other.
Yeah, great way to go with this one. Neither team known for their defenses, so that over is looking pretty good with this. Let's look at this next game. I'm really interested to see how this one plays out. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now the Jaguars getting some wins that no one expected, right? They're coming in here 6.5-point dog. We've got Philly 3-0 on the season. I didn't expect them to be here. Jalen Hurts has looked good. What are you thinking for this one?
This is a much more interesting game than we thought, right? When we saw the schedule in the beginning of the season here. The Jaguars, they're a definition of, yes, coaching matters. All right, this team was a dumpster fire last year, a train wreck, any kind of pun you want to use there with Urban Meyer at the helm there. You get rid of him. And it's not like we think Doug Peterson is Bill Belichick or Bill Parcells, Jimmy Johnson, or anybody, the legendary head coaches, but he's an NFL coach, and he's turned that team around. Let's face it, they only have 2 really new additions since last year. Christian Kirk, who we all mocked after the big contract they signed him to, and Travis Etienne is healthy. All right, and you can make an argument that Etienne's hurt them, right? They could be 3-0 if he would have caught the ball in week 1 against the Commanders here. So they played much better. Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence looks like the actual number 1 pick that he was a couple of years back. This is a good football team. That being said, I think the Eagles are headed to the number 1 seed in the NFC. I've been on them most of the offseason here. I like all the moves they've made here. I was just hoping that Jalen Hurts would make the next step in his progression, and they'd be fine. Well, he's gone way past that so far. He's an MVP candidate right now. He keeps that up. They're going to walk away with this. When you look at the Eagles' schedule, Joe, what game won't they be the favorite in the rest of the season? Really, they play Green Bay, but it's at home. They do play Dallas twice. I guess if Dallas is playing well, the game in Texas could be they could be a dog there, but it'll be a point at most there. I think this team is playing very well. They're very good on both sides of a line of scrimmage. They can get after your quarterback. We saw that with Carson Wentz last week. He's going to have nightmares of that eagle wing on their helmet coming at them. He was hit so many times, and it just looked like he was shell-shocked after a while. All right, and they've got one of the best offensive lines in the game as well. So Jalen Hurts keeps playing like this. Hard not to like the Eagles. It's just hard not to like the Eagles here. That being said, I think the Jaguars can keep this somewhat close, but I think they'll need a late touchdown to do it.
Yeah, always worried about that backdoor cover, especially with a 6.5 sitting in this game. Now, you touched on the Washington Commanders. They're playing the Cowboys. This is Sunday at 1 as well. Washington just still showing their struggles. They've only won 1 game so far, not able to get things done. Dallas looking better than people expected with Cooper Rush, with Dak Prescott leaving. Cowboys, 3.5-point favorites here. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, now I'm a Cowboy fan, right? And I did not see Dallas surviving without Dak. And I'm not even really a great Dak believer here, but they've changed. All right, they're relying more on the run game now. And, Tony Romo said something interesting during the offseason. And he actually said he expected Dallas to play like it was the 2017 season. And what he meant by that was run ball, run heavy to protect the offense. They didn't have the wide receivers, right? Amari Cooper, they traded away. Michael Gallup wasn't going to be ready to play in September. So protect the offense by running the ball, controlling the time of possession, and also help the defense out, keep them fresh. Dallas, we mock the offensive line, right? They're going to have all sorts of issues. That offensive line right now has graded out as the best run blocking line in the game right now. Now, granted, they didn't look all that great against Tampa Bay, but that was more in the passing game than the run game. But they looked good against Cincinnati, looked very good against the Giants on Monday night. I expect that to continue. I do expect that to continue. I think Dallas does win this game. I think Dallas will control the game, much like they did for the Giant game, but it'll be close at the end. I'm going to give the points away. I'm going to take Dallas and -3.5 there. They are the better team. It's at home. And if Wentz was worried about the Eagle wing on the helmet, he's going to see Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence a lot. What was he, sacked 8-9 times last week? The Cowboys are coming after him. They lead the NFL in sacks. So they're coming after Carson Wentz. It should be interesting to see if Rivera will make some adjustments. Quick, short passes to Antonio Gibson. I'm going to love his prop for his reception total and his yardage total. I think that's how Rivera's going to try and beat Dallas. Little short passes to Antonio Gibson out of the backfield.
Yeah, bring up Micah Parsons. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Him and Armstrong getting those sacks for the Dallas Cowboys. Can't wait to see what they do in this one. I love Dallas in that first half. We know Washington started off every single game slow, giving up those points. We saw them give up, 28 to the Eagles in that first half, defense stepping up in the second. And I think that was all in the second quarter. So I'm going to be riding Dallas in the first half, nice and heavy in this one. But let's move on to the Sunday night game. We have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Tampa Bay Bucs. Now, I think Kansas City was in a little bit of a look ahead in their last game versus the Colts, coming into this one versus Tampa. Tampa's the dog at home. Tom Brady is the dog in this one, George. Are you kidding me? What are you going? I think Kansas will probably win it, but Tom Brady's a dog.
Things have changed, right? Times have changed here. Who's going to be healthy for Tampa Bay? That's the first thing you have to ask. All right, Mike Evans will be back, right? He was suspended last week, so he'll be back. Is Godwin going to play? Is the hamstring better? We don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. How about Julio Jones? All right, Bowles tried to tell us that Jones could have played last week if it was an important game. Okay, maybe he could have, maybe he couldn't. All right, we know Fournette's banged up as well. The offensive line is banged up. Plus, it's Tampa Bay. That's where the hurricane is hitting. Once again, we all have families here. If a hurricane's hitting, I'm worried about my family. Maybe Tom's not worried about Giselle. That's the problem there. But still, you're worried a little bit. So once again, their heads can't be in this game right now. You can't tell me it is. What are they doing tonight? So the hurricane's hitting right now. They're not practicing. This game may not be played in Tampa Bay. All right, the NFL announced about an hour ago, maybe 2 hours ago, that it will be played in Minneapolis if they decide to move the game. They have not decided that as of this moment. So they might not even have a home game here. Be a neutral site game, right? So hard not to like Kansas City. I think Kansas City was also a little angry last week. We saw Mahomes get at it with the offensive coordinator over what they were doing at the end of the half, and Andy Reid had to come in there and sort of separate them there. So I think they're going to be an angry team here. That being said, I think we all want points to be scored on Sunday night, especially at the last Sunday night's game between Denver and the 49ers, which is just like, set football back a couple of decades here. I don't think we're going to get that kind of game here. The Bucs, we don't know who's going to be healthy. And for the Chiefs, without Tyreek Hill, they're not built that way anymore. They're more of a 27-point team to me than a 37-point team. Trying to guess which one of their receivers is going to break out that week, good luck. Here's another little stat for you. You realize that Jerick McKinnon has been the leader at snap for running backs over all the other running backs? It's not Hilaire, which you all sort of expected there. I think it's still a work in progress as far as the Chiefs' offense here. That being said, I like the Chiefs to win this game no matter where it's played.
Yeah, I have to go with you here, which I hate because I'm a Chargers fan. You know that, George. And I'm not the biggest fan of Patrick Mahomes, but he's had me eating my words of this season, able to get that ball moving around without Tyreek Hill. It's going to be an interesting game to see who has the bigger tantrum between Brady and Mahomes, for sure. George, I want to thank you so much for joining me here on Down to the Wire. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, like I said, you find me on Sports Grid. You have the nickname there. Where's Waldo? I'm all over the place. And truthfully, I never know where I'm going to be. So Sports Grid, I'm all over there. You can find me on Twitter at George Kurtz. I don't make it all that hard.
Okay, George. Thank you so much for joining me. Can't wait to do this again. Always my pleasure. Good luck tonight. Thank you. Good luck to you too. Okay, guys, just a reminder, you are watching Down to the Wire on the Vegas Insider Network presented by BetMGM. And while I have you here, before I bring in our next guest, I want to tell you about BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. So from today until only tomorrow, you guys. You got to move on this fast until Thursday. Sign up with BetMGM using bonus code VIBonus50, and you'll receive $50 free on sign up and a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's VIBonus50, all one word, no spaces, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit betmgm.com for all terms and conditions. Okay, you guys, without further ado, we're going to bring in our next guest. I have Nick Parsons, a Vegas insider. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me on, fellow Canadian.
Absolutely. Whereabouts in Canada are you, Nick? I'm drawing a blank, and I know what you've told me before.
I'm in BC. I'm on Vancouver Island, so maybe sometime we can talk some hockey too or something.
Absolutely. I can't wait for the hockey season to kick off. October 7th, the regular season kicks off. Are you betting preseason right now, Nick?
I'm not. I'm holding off, and I usually tend to take it kind of easy over the first week in all sports, so that's sort of my thing. Although I do bet preseason NFL.
I think preseason NFL and preseason hockey are two totally different animals. These split squads just have me shaking my head. What are your thoughts on that?
I would agree. And though the NFL has gotten a lot different too now that it's gone down to the 3 games. So yeah, preseason has changed a lot in every sport. But yeah, exactly what you're saying there about hockey. It's a lot more difficult. The lineups are even more difficult to predict than what you see in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can't wait for the season to get rolling. We're definitely going to be talking some hockey in the future because it is one of my greatest loves in my life. And I know it is for you too, being a Canadian.
Sure. Yep. I used to have seasons tickets to the Canucks. And so I guess they're my team, although I don't really have favorite teams anymore, just whichever team I'm betting on that night. But yeah, I guess the Canucks are my team.
Yeah, I hear you. And I definitely will not hold that against you that you're the Canucks fan. I'm a Calgary fan. So at least you're not cheering for the Oilers. But Nick, let's jump into college football. We've had a couple of crazy weeks here. We're going into week 5 of college football.
Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts on the season so far?
So far, so good. I mean, I recovered last weekend. I went 3-1 in week 4. And so for me, I usually, as I was saying to you earlier there, I tend to take it easy over the first few weeks. And so now I'm ready to really get into it here. And especially this game here, I don't know if you're going to set this one up or if I should just get into it here, Joe.
Well, we can set it up. I know you're looking at the matchup between Kentucky and Mississippi here. Both these teams, 4-0 on the season. Someone's got to get a loss in this game. Where are you going with this one, Nick?
Yeah, exactly. 2 4-0 teams here, a big-time SEC matchup. The Wildcats, they're 3-1 against the spread. The Runnin' Rebels, they're just 2-2 against the spread. Kentucky, it's actually looking to make it back-to-back 5-0 starts. And Ole Miss, it's looking for its first 5-0 start since 2015. But yeah, dating to last year, Kentucky's been good on the road. It's won 5 of its last 7 away from friendly confines. And Will Levis, he's been really good to start the year. He has 1,185 passing yards. He has 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And then he's complemented by running back Boise Smoke. He has 263 rushing yards and a touchdown as well. But really, Joe, when you look at it in the early going, it's been Kentucky's defense, which has been the difference maker. It allows just 272 yards per game and only 13 points per game. But to move to 5-0 for a second straight year, it's going to have to do that on the Wildcat, the Wildcats will have to defeat the Rebels on their own field. And so the Rebels actually have not lost on their home field since October of 2020. And I mean, they're getting good production across this offense there. Jackson Dart, so far, he has 697 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. But this Rebels offense revolves around its run game. It averages 280 yards per game rushing. And Quinshon Judkins, he leads the way. He has 429 rushing yards and also 5 touchdowns. And Ole Miss, it's just been fantastic defensively as well. It gives up a few more yards. It allows 318.5 yards per game, but just 10 points per game. Now, Kentucky does have running back Christopher Rodriguez Jr. returning from suspension in this game. So I do understand that the Wildcats could potentially be an attractive option here for people getting some points. But I think really that their offense is going to take some time to get going. And at that point, it's going to be too late. And you know what, Joe, I actually really like two plays here. I like the under in this one because these are two really good defenses. Each of them are going to be running the ball a lot in this one. So I do like the under here. But I also really like the Rebels. This isn't a crazy spread that we're being, a crazy line that we're being asked to cover. I think they can cover this touchdown here at home. So that's my read on this one. I like the under, and I like Ole Miss.
Yeah, I like the way that you're going with this, with Ole Miss only laying that touchdown here at home. Really interesting. The last time these two faced up was back in October 2020. Ole Miss getting a 42-41 win. That under 53 sounds crazy when you look at that last matchup, but you're right. The defenses are totally different here.
Yeah, that was then, and this is now type thing for sure. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on to some NFL. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Jags coming in to this, getting some really impressive wins here. The Eagles, though, looking incredible themselves. What are you looking at in this one?
Well, I listened to George's analysis on that, and I'm sort of aligning on what he said on a lot of different things there. When I look at these two teams, I'm actually a little bit surprised, and really, I would be a little less surprised if they each came in with a losing record at this point. But that's not the case. Obviously, Jacksonville is 2-1 straight up. It's 2-1 against the spread. It just hammered the Chargers there, 38-10 last weekend. Now it was taking on a less than 100% Chargers team, but still it was impressive. And so I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be intimidated coming in here to Philadelphia. He has to be loving just the way that the year is playing out so far. Jacksonville averages 28 points per game. That's 7th in the league. They're averaging 123.3 rushing yards. That is 10th. And they're averaging 252.3 passing yards, which is also 10th. Now, as you mentioned, Philadelphia, though, it's 3-0 straight up. It's 2-1 against the spread. And all of the talking heads out there, I mean, you even heard George himself say there that, Philadelphia is the team to beat in the NFC without question. And Jalen Hurts is a possible MVP contender for sure here. They average 28.7 points per game. That's 5th overall. That's 296.7 yards per game passing. That's 3rd, 153 yards rushing. That is 5th. Lots of storylines in this game. Doug Peterson, of course, he returns to his old stomping grounds. He'll be looking to pull off the upset with Lawrence. But Lawrence, he's been really great as well. He has 772 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, just 1 interception. James Robinson, he leads the rushing attack with 230 rushing yards. But not to be outdone. This is going to be a great quarterback matchup here. But all of that said, just like what George was saying there, I think that the Eagles are the correct move here. I think they can cover that touchdown. Jacksonville heads home to play the lowly Texans next weekend. So with that sort of in their mind, that sort of gimme, that's sort of a look ahead of an easy one that they can sort of get away with. Philadelphia, on the other hand, travels to Arizona. That's a much more difficult game, even though Arizona is not playing that great right now. That'll still be a difficult game. So I think they take care of business here at home. So I'm going to suggest laying the points.
Yeah, this is going to be such an interesting matchup to see. How the Jaguars come out more is the question for me than the Eagles, because like you said, the Eagles are the better team here. They should be able to get a touchdown win here at home, but the Jags just looking very impressive. And yes, thanks for rubbing it in that they beat up on my Chargers last week, because it was a complete beat up. Joey Bosa going out, Slater now out for the rest of the season, which is sad to see. And Herbert just knocked himself out on that field, hoping that he's feeling better. Any thoughts on them throwing these quarterbacks out when they really shouldn't be playing, shooting them full of painkillers?
I guess this early in the season, it really doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
I mean, with this much money invested in different things. So no, that would be a perfect opportunity to play some of their backups and stuff rather than risk it and throw them out there and get another injury. And then it's even worse moving forward. So I guess it's always difficult. You see this in the NBA with Anthony Davis. He spoke about this, as you know, and many athletes have. So yeah, that's always a difficult decision for everyone involved, obviously.
Yeah, I wish I had a direct line to the coaching staff on Sunday because I was screaming for them to get Herbert off that field. My whole neighborhood knows exactly how I felt about that game, especially once Joey Bosa went out and Slater went out. It was like, we're not winning. Get our quarterback off that field. But that's another conversation for another day. Let's talk a quick little bit about baseball if you have time here, Nick. We got the Texas Rangers taking on the Seattle Mariners tonight. Low total in this one. Mariners the favorite at home. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking that after 2 straight losses, that the Mariners, well, they still have a 3.5 game lead on Baltimore, but they cannot let anything. They just can't let anything slip away here anymore. We're coming down the home stretch here, and so I approach the beginning of the season differently than I do the bulk of the regular season. I approach the end of the season differently as well. But yeah, Seattle lost to Texas here 5-0 last night. It's still trying to secure a wild card spot. As I said, it cannot afford to let any more letdowns. So I think it's going to win here, and I think it's going to win by a significant margin. And so I think that the run line option is a good option here because you're getting that plus money return. I mean, and they're handing the ball to a rookie here, but he's just been fantastic. George Kirby, he's 7-4 with a 3.30 ERA overall. He's dominated the Rangers already over 3 previous starts this season. He's 1-0 with a 2.16 ERA over that span. Now, Texas, it'll try to play spoiler here again. The motivation to play spoiler only goes so far. They got the big 5-0 win last night. So I think this is a possible letdown spot here. But I mean, the Rangers are sending their ace to the mound here. They're sending Martin Perez. He's 12-6 with a 2.90 ERA. He's 8-5 with a 3.28 ERA lifetime against the Mariners. But all of that said, I still like the Mariners here. I still believe in the Mariners. They haven't been in the playoffs since 2001. This is the longest playoff drought in the league. But in Seattle, it's 1-12-17 already in this series. So I think it rebounds from last night's big loss. I'm going to say lay the 1.5 runs for that big plus money return.
Yeah, Seattle's so much more to play for here, and you're right. Only can play spoiler for so long, but Perez is that difference maker for the Texas Rangers. Hopefully he has an off night and you get this nice cash here on the run line, Nick. I want to thank you so much for joining me here on Down to the Wire. What do you have for sale for us over at Vegas Insider if people are looking for your packages?
For sure. I've gotten out to a hot start in the NFL, which carries over from a hot ending to the playoffs and Super Bowl last year. And so I've been really good with my prime time NFL selections. I'm already 71%. And hey, I got a big play on the Thursday night game over at Vegas Insider. And that's it.
Awesome, Nick. And if people are looking for you on socials, where can they find you?
You can find me at the Insider's Room, and that will lead you to find me everywhere you can, everywhere else. But yeah, also at Vegas Insider.
Awesome. I cannot wait to talk some hockey with you in the future. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Crush it. Okay, guys, so that was Nick Parsons. Again, if you're looking for his best bets, just head on over to Vegas Insider. I want to remind you, you are watching Down to the Wire on the Vegas Insider Network presented by BetMGM. That brings me to my second best bet of the night. Now, we talked about Thursday night football and tell you guys I'm riding on the Bengals here. I got them at 3.5. So because we've seen some line movement, that for the push does worry me a little bit here with how scrappy Miami's being. So I wanted to give you some player props that I'm liking here. Now, we have seen movement on these as well. I was actually really shocked when I first looked at the line for Tyreek Hill for an anytime touchdown. We can still get it over at BetMGM for him to get that anytime a touchdown at -110. I definitely can see him and Tua connecting. That coming in nicely. We know he's been phenomenal out there. We know he is able to get that separation. So I'm going to hit Tyreek Hill for an anytime touchdown. But then I'm also going to look at Joe Burrows, his total passing yards. We can get it over 272.5 at -120. I think there's a value there, even though we're paying juice here. He's averaging 270.7 per game in these first 3 games. But we look at Miami's defense. And I think there's holes in their secondary. I really do see him getting some nice passes off to Chase to get us over this 272.5. So I'm going to hit that one as well. I just need his offensive line to hold here to give him time in that pocket to get these bombs out. And we know as long as they give him some time, he'll be able to get these bombs. So the two props that I'm going to take is Tyreek Hill for the anytime touchdown at -110 and Joe Burrows for his over in passing yards over 272.5. I did look at his over on touchdowns, passing touchdowns of 1.5. There was no value there, you guys. So again, always shop that value. BetMGM has some great lines. Just make sure when you're looking for those props, you're getting that value. It's time for our handicapper heat check presented by VegasInsider.com, your home of the best expert picks in the business since 1997. Today, we are going to recognize Tim Michael, who can be found on Twitter at Less Chalk. Tim is mining MLB gems with a 7-2 record in the last 8 days, extending his winning streak on the Diamonds to 21-9 in the last 30 picks. Did you guys hear that? 21-9 in the last 30 picks in the MLB. Grab Tim's MLB best bets by visiting VegasInsider.com/picks or clicking on Tim's bio on the Vegas Insider homepage. That's your handicapper heat check. Stay hot, bettors. Okay, quick recap of my bets for the show. The New York Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays, we're going to take the over 7. That game's kicking off right away here, so make sure you get that in. Go over to BetMGM, shop those lines there. Get that. And then we're going to also look at Thursday Night Football. We're going to take Tyreek Hill for the anytime touchdown at -110 on BetMGM. We're also going to take Joe Burrows over his passing yards over 272.5 at -120. You guys, that's a wrap. It's been a great Wednesday. I'm so glad I get to spend Wednesday and Friday evenings with you here on the Vegas Insider Network on Down to the Wire presented by BetMGM. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the amazing content we have here. Keep smiling, and until next time, let's make some freaking money. I'll see you guys on Friday.